Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a virtual walkthrough of one of Kolkata's absolute most iconic, but actually surprisingly mysterious landmarks. I'm talking about St. Paul's Cathedral. If you've ever strolled past this massive white structure in the heart of the City of Joy, you probably think, yeah, I know it. But let me tell you, just beyond that beautiful stained glass and those quiet pews, there is literally a labyrinth of untold stories. We're talking hidden chambers and architectural drama going all the way back to British India. So we're going to peel back the layers of this magnificent building, using its floor plan to guide us and reveal some wild hidden history that's just been quietly hiding in plain sight. Okay, let's dive into this floor plan. We'll be looking at four main things today. First, origin and architecture. Second, chapels and memorials. Third, the altar and crypt. And finally, number 4, the bells and skyline.
Starting right off with Section 1, Origin and Architecture.
Right, so before we can really grasp the secrets inside, we have to talk about the colossal ambition it took just to build the exterior. We're jumping back to the era of British India, when Calcutta back then, was the glittering capital of the empire. The architects wanted this classic European Gothic cathedral, pointed arches, ribbed vaults, the whole shebang. But they were building in Bengal. We're talking blistering heat, crazy humidity, and absolutely punishing monsoons. So they had to adapt. What they came up with is what we called Indo-Gothic architecture. It's this brilliant fusion. It takes that awe-inspiring height of European Gothic design and mixes it with specific Indian materials, like local brickwork, and adds some much-needed climatic tweaks, like deeper verandas, to actually survive the extreme weather. It makes it stand out completely from everything else in the heart of Kolkata.
Now, you might be wondering, who exactly was the driving force behind this massive project? Well, that would be Bishop Daniel Wilson. It was really his ambitious vision that got the whole thing off the ground. See, in the early to mid-19th century, the existing churches in the city just were not cutting it for the growing European population. So Bishop Wilson campaigned relentlessly. He raised massive funds, he leaned hard on the East India Company, and he pushed for a true grand cathedral. He didn't just want a quiet place to pray. He wanted a towering symbol of faith and endurance.
But as you can probably guess, trying to build a towering symbol of endurance in an active earthquake zone is, well, it's risky. And the cathedral actually suffered a huge architectural setback, the falling of its steeple. Originally, St. Paul's was built with this massive, soaring spire that totally dominated the skyline. But nature had other plans, right? Some absolutely catastrophic earthquakes hit the region, heavily damaging the structure and eventually forcing the steeple to be entirely rebuilt. It's a crazy historical detour that literally altered the building's physical narrative, changing its silhouette to the one we recognize today. Actually, it's a pretty powerful reminder that even the grandest colonial ambitions eventually have to bow to Mother Nature.
Okay, so before we actually cross the threshold into the main building, let's just take a quick look around the grounds. The overall floor plan out here is expansive, meant for huge congregations and grand processions. But if you wander just a bit outside the main structure, you'll stumble across something really special: the Cemetery of Bishop Lefroy. It's this quiet, deeply historical space that anchors the whole cathedral to generations of clergy who dedicated their lives here. It really sets this solemn, reverent tone right before we step through those massive wooden doors.
Which brings us to Section 2, Chapels and Memorials.
So we leave the bright Kolkata sun behind and we step into the cool, shadowed, and honestly just incredibly vast inner sanctuary of St. Paul's. The sheer scale in here is designed to literally make you catch your breath. Now, what's really interesting about this space is the wild contrast between two distinct areas, the Remembrance Chapel and the Jesus Chapel. The Remembrance Chapel is incredibly solemn. It's super focused on military history and colonial memory, lots of plaques for soldiers and empire figures. But then, right across the way, you have the Jesus Chapel, and this offers a completely different, much more culturally integrated vibe. It is absolutely fascinating how one building can house two totally contrasting spaces of memory and worship right under the same roof.
And hey, speaking of the Jesus Chapel, it holds an absolute treasure that you would probably never expect to find inside a British colonial monument. The chapel features a remarkable interpretation of the Last Supper, painted by Jamini Roy. Yes, the Jamini Roy, one of the absolute most celebrated Bengali artists of the 20th century. He's famous for that beautiful folk art style that draws on traditional Bengali village aesthetics. Seeing his indigenous, distinctly Indian artistic voice interpreting a core Christian narrative, right inside the walls of St. Paul's, it is a breathtaking example of cultural syncretism. It's like this perfect bridge between two totally different worlds. All right, as we walk out of the chapels and stroll down the main nave, you seriously can't help but look at the walls. They are literally lined with internal landmarks, specifically these intricate marble plaques and statues. These are tributes to key figures of British India. We're talking military officers, civil servants, you name it. And while we definitely look at these today through a very different modern lens, these memorials act as a physical record of the era. It's basically a who's who of the East India Company and the British Raj, carved in stone, just quietly watching over the congregation for centuries.
Moving right along to Section 3, the altar and crypt.
So, moving forward through the nave, we finally arrive at the very heart of the cathedral, the altar. It is just bathed in the light of this magnificent east window, totally designed to draw every single eye in the room. But today, we're not just looking at the altar itself. This brings us to a really compelling mystery. What secret lies hidden directly beneath the cathedral's altar? I mean, imagine standing at the holiest, most beautifully decorated spot in the whole building. The choir is singing, the light is pouring in, but just a few feet beneath the polished stone floor you're standing on, in the single most restricted area of the entire floor plan, there is a hidden subterranean room. What in the world could be down there?
So the crucial point is, the guy who built the cathedral never actually left it. The hidden crypt houses the final resting place and tomb of Bishop Daniel Wilson himself. Yep, the visionary who fought tooth and nail to fund and construct this Indo-Gothic masterpiece got the ultimate honor, being entombed directly beneath its high altar. It's kind of wild to think about, right? The foundation of this massive, public space literally rests on the secret, quiet tomb of its founder. It's a piece of history that I guarantee you, 99% of the people walking through those front doors have absolutely no idea is sitting right beneath their feet.
And that takes us to our final stop, Section 4, the bells and skyline.
Okay, let's completely shift our perspective here. From the deepest, darkest, underground secret of the crypt, we're going to head all the way up, making for the narrow, winding staircases that lead into the cathedral's great tower. Let's move upward and see how this builds, step by step. First, we ascend right past the intricate antique clock mechanism. Just imagine the heavy ticking of those giant old gears that have literally been keeping time for the city for over a century. Next, we push even higher, right into the towering bell chamber. These massive cast iron bells are just suspended up there in the heights, waiting to ring out over the neighborhoods. And finally, we step out onto the highest balconies. And wow, from here, you get a view that is simply unparalleled. You're looking out over the sprawling, chaotic, vibrant modern Kolkata skyline, all from the serene, silent vantage point of its oldest colonial spire. It's this massive visual contrast that really truly puts the city's history into perspective. So, as we take in that incredible sweeping view of the city, I want to leave you with one final thought. What other forgotten histories and colonial secrets are hiding in plain sight within Kolkata's architecture? Think about it. We just peeled back the layers of one single cathedral and found broken spires, culturally blended artwork, and a secret underground tomb. Every old building you pass on the street in this magnificent city has a story to tell, you know? If you just know where to look. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. I really hope it sparked your curiosity to go out and uncover some history of your own. Until next time, keep exploring.